All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to unpack a single chapter of the Quran, Surah Maryam, but we're going to do it through the eyes of a scholar. And what we're going to find is that a really close reading can take these stories you might already know and turn them into this incredible framework for understanding truth itself.
So, where is all this coming from? Well, our entire analysis is based on a 2009 lecture by the scholar Ayatollah Javadi Amoli. It's super important to know that everything we're about to explore comes directly from his really meticulous, deep-dive interpretation of the text.
And that really brings up a fascinating question, right? How do any of us get past just a surface-level reading of a sacred text? How does a scholar actually dig in and find the hidden philosophical architecture that's holding the whole thing up? Well, that's exactly what we're doing today. Think of this as a case study.
Okay, first things first. The scholar completely reframes this entire chapter for us. He says, look, this isn't just a bunch of stories. No, he sees it as a practical guide. Its whole point isn't just to tell you things, but to actually give you a roadmap for personal transformation.
So what's that roadmap look like? According to his analysis, the whole surah is built around this central idea, tarbiyat wa tazkiyah. That basically means education and purification. The goal is twofold. First, you establish the core principles of faith. But then, and this is the crucial part, you move past just knowing it in your head. The real goal is to get to a deep, heartfelt commitment, something you actually live.
Okay, so to really unlock all of this, the Ayatollah gives us a key. It's this critical distinction he makes between two kinds of truth. And honestly, if you get this next part, you'll get his entire analysis. It's that important.
And here it is, the absolute core of his framework, the difference between sidq and haqq. Think of it like this. Sidq is about truth in what you say. Your words match what's happening out there in the world. But haqq, whoa, that's something different. That's truth in what you are. It's a truthfulness of being, a reality that's just true all by itself. It's a way, way deeper level of truth.
Let's break that down. First, sidq. This is probably the kind of truth you and I think about every day. It's all about factual correspondence. If I say, hey, it's raining outside, and you look out the window and, yep, it's raining, my statement has sidq. It's true because it accurately describes an external fact. Simple as that. It's the truth of a correct statement.
Okay, now contrast that with haqq. This is the big one. This has nothing to do with descriptions or statements. This is about existence itself. It's what philosophers call an ontological reality. Something has haqq when its very existence is firm, real, undeniable. It doesn't need me to say it's true for it to be true. Its being is the truth. See the difference?
All right, so we've got these two big ideas, sidq and haqq. But what does that have to do with reading the Quran? Well, this is where it gets really cool. The scholar takes this framework and applies it directly to the story of the Prophet Zechariah's prayer for his son. This is a huge moment in the chapter.
The specific verse goes like this: when he called out to his Lord with a hidden call. Now, a quick read, you might just skim past that. But the scholar, he zeroes in on two words, called out and hidden. Because for him, these words reveal that there are actually two different things happening at the exact same time.
Let's start with called out. The Arabic word used here is nida. And a nida is not just a quiet thought in your head. No way. It's an outward, audible cry. It's a physical act of speaking your request out loud. The scholar points to this as the external, you could even say public, dimension of the prayer.
But wait a second. The verse says this nida, this outward call, was hidden. So how does that work? How can an audible, outward cry be secret or hidden? That sounds like a contradiction, right? Well, the answer, as you might guess, is found by looking at the inner dimension of what was happening.
That one word, hidden, is the key that unlocks the whole thing for the scholar. It's the clue. It tells him that the outward call, the nida, was happening alongside something else, something internal, something unseen. And that hidden part is what's known as a dua. Now, a dua isn't about the words you say, it's about your inner state. It's that silent, heartfelt plea, that deep, sincere, maybe even desperate feeling in your soul. That's the hidden part of the hidden call. The outward words were soaked in this deep, private sincerity. So let's put it all together.
What made Zakaria's prayer so powerful was this perfect fusion. You have the nida on one side, the outward expression, the words he actually spoke, and on the other you have the dua, the inward state, that heartfelt need, the hidden sincerity. The call and the plea were happening as one single unified act. So what happens when you have a prayer that's so complete, so unified on the inside and the outside? Well, according to the text, what happens is you get an answer. An immediate, miraculous answer. And that answer was the promise of a son, Yahya, who you might know from the Christian tradition as John the Baptist. An amazing outcome, for sure. But for our analysis here, the why he got that answer is just as important as the fact that he did. And this is where we bring it all back to that framework we started with. Why was the prayer answered? Because it fulfilled both definitions of truth. First, it had sidq, the words he spoke, the nida, were a factually true expression of what he wanted. But, and this is the key, it also had haq, his inner state, his heartfelt need, the dua, that was an undeniable ontological reality. It was a true state of being. And when you get that perfect alignment of the external word and the internal reality, that's what creates a complete supplication. And that's what gets answered.
So this whole analysis leaves us with a pretty powerful question to chew on. If a truly sincere prayer has both of these parts, the public call and the private plea, the words we say and the truth of our heart, then which one is God actually answering? Is it the words we manage to speak? Or is it that deeper ontological truth of who we are in that exact moment? It's a lot to think about.